Okay, but it has been scientifically proven that you build muscles best. The optimal number of times to build a muscles is training each and every muscle group. Please. Welcome to Just Beast. I'm your trainer Jasper Bravo. Today, the video today is about why you are not gaining muscles, and we are starting right now. Now you might be wondering, you've been working out, you've been eating right, you've been doing everything right, but you're wondering why is it that you're not gaining those lean muscles that you always been looking for? Because you know, in this channel we are always for the aesthetics, building those lean muscles and cutting down all the unnecessary fats. And if you're one of these people who are struggling with gains, it's been years or months or weeks and you're not seeing any change. Some people join the gym and they get better as you see them, and you're wondering what's happening. Maybe you're just making one of these mistakes. And number one mistake is you're doing too much cardio. When you do too much cardio, especially when you are a hard gainer, the problem with that is, number one, if you are skinny or you are a hard gainer, it means that your metabolic rate is super high. So the rate at which you are burning calories is very, very high. And when the rate at which you are burning calories is very, very high, it means that most of the time you are finding yourself in what is called a caloric deficit. And what you really need to do, what the state you really need yourself to be in when you want to gain muscles is to be at a caloric surplus. And when you do too much cardio, it means that you're going to burn so much calories compared to the amount of calories that you might have been consuming all this time. So when you try to balance the two, you notice that it's not going to happen, because as long as you're just working hard too much, you are overactive, you move too much, and yet you're a hard gainer, which means you find it difficult gaining muscles. It means that you just need to reduce the amount of cardio so that you might at least find yourself in a caloric surplus, or still maintain your cardio, but you increase the amount of food you can take. But the problem comes in when you notice that you're eating as much as you can. The day ends when you just can't eat anymore, but you're still not gaining, you're not still finding yourself in a caloric surplus. This is just the time for you to cut down on the cardio. Okay? Number two reason why mistake that might be making you not gain muscles is maybe you're just fasting. If you're a hard gainer, you need so much calories for you to gain muscles. And fasting is just the last thing you need. Fasting is very important. It's very good. It serves its purpose. But one of the purposes just doesn't serve, especially if you're finding it difficult gaining muscles, is doing that, hypertrophy. Because during a fasting state, most of the time you find that you're low on glycogen, you're low on proteins, and you're low on calories. And these are the materials you need as a building block for the muscles. So you need yourself to be supplied with these almost at all the time that you're awake, so that you build those muscles at a rate that is optimal, So if you are gaining muscles, but not at the rate at which you want to, maybe you need to check on your fasting. Maybe you need to stop on your fasting, unless you are finding yourself in a place where you have too much fat and you need to lean down. Then in this case, I'll advise you to continue with the fast. Point number three is either you are partying too much or you are drinking too much alcohol. I always talk about this so much in this channel, because in this channel we care so much not only about how we look, but also how we feel. We don't only care about having a good time, but also having a long time in this world. And how able to have both of these is by finding yourself in a situation where you don't take toxins into your system. Maybe you have been trying to gain and you're still doing everything right. Your diet is in place, your workout is in place, your everything, your rest, everything. You have a very good personal trainer, but you're still not gaining. The chances are the alcohol you're still drinking is just what is working against you. So the moment you cut down on alcohol, chances of you having leaner muscles is going to be very high, and also chances of you gaining fats is also be very high, because when you lose those fats, that's the time when the muscles are going to show more. Understand? Another reason why you are not gaining muscles at the rate at which you need to, or why you're just not gaining muscles at all, is because you're not having enough sleep. You're not having enough rest. Because people usually think so very many times that we gain muscles that time when we are working out in the gym, or that time when we are eating, right? But that's not what happens. We usually tend to gain muscles or gain the strength when we are rested, when we are recovering, when we are sleeping. That's the time when your body repairs itself, and that's the time that when your body and the muscles that have been destroyed reform into larger, bigger, and more cells. And this one makes you have a greater and bigger growth of muscles. So if you're doing everything right and you're not sleeping enough, this is going to work against you, because when you don't sleep enough, even the amount of energy that's going to be available during your workout is going to be less because of that. Because when you are not well rested, you always feel the following day that your workouts will not be as optimal as they could have been if you were well rested the previous day. When our fight is you're holding back on the workout when you're in the gym. What is this supposed to mean? This simply means that when you're in the gym, you always leave some reps on the bench before you leave there. It means that when you're just pushing, you don't push enough. You leave when it just starts hurting, you stop, you put the weight down. Or when you're doing your sit-ups, you stop when it start hurting. But what you're supposed to do is that almost all your sets are supposed to be at least closer to failure, which means you're supposed to get to at least 2 to 3 reps to failure, and sometimes even past failure. But you're supposed to make sure that at least each and every set of yours is as close as possible to failure, which is 2 to 3 reps to failure. But also it's okay to make your last set to do it beyond failure or to failure. The next point, which is point number 6, is you're using bro split. Which is a bro split? Bro split is you're training each and every body part once per week. What happens when you do this is, this has been the biggest myth in history of bodybuilding, that each and every body part needs to be trained once per week, which has always been Monday, it's always been chest day, then Tuesday is back day, then Wednesday is arms, then we have shoulders, then you have like in that one, and then on Friday I think you finish with your back. Okay, but it has been scientifically proven that you build muscles best, the optimal number of times to build a muscle is training each and every muscle group at least twice per week for them to have enough activation for hypertrophy. Anytime you find yourself training one body part per day, it means that you're not going to get yourself in a situation where you are able to train all these body parts twice. Because if you train each and every body part once per day and you only have 5, many people train 5 to 6 days a week, 7 days a week, you're not going to get enough time to do all that. So that's why bro split might be the reason why you're just not gaining as much muscles as you need to. Another reason why you're not gaining enough muscles as much as you need to is you're using the bulking and cutting type of diet. What is this? This is a training program, and this is a training and diet program where it's one of the most popular right now, where people go through a certain months where somebody just decides to bulk, which means you gain as much muscles and fats as possible for those months. Then you have some other months where you are cutting down, so that during this time you're trying to lose or cut down on all those fats that you gained during this time when you are bulking. Number one, the problem with this is anytime you're gaining muscles, or when you are gaining weight or gaining mass during this bulking stage, majority of the weight you're going to gain is just going to be fats. It's just a lot of fats. Very little amount of it is going to be muscles. Then when you get yourself in a situation where you're going to put yourself in a caloric deficit, where you need now to cut down and start losing fats, you're also going to get yourself in a situation where you're also losing the muscles you've been gaining throughout this time when you're bulking. Then another problem with bulking and cutting is that many people that get themselves into bulking never tell you that they never get out. People get into bulking and they bulk forever, they get themselves fat, and now cutting down becomes a problem. It becomes almost impossible to come back to losing the weight again. And also that it takes so much time for your body to adapt to a certain type of diet. So if you keep on losing and gaining very many times, what's happening is you're not going to be in a situation where your body adapts to whatever it is you're putting onto it. Then lastly, it's just not healthy. It's not healthy to just eat too much diet, and it's just not healthy also to cut too much that you are not eating enough. So both of these are just putting your body in extreme ends of dieting that is just not healthy and optimal for your bodily function. So that's why this might be the reason why you're just not gaining as much as possible. You might see that you've gained so much that you look so big. Many people are telling you that you look so big, but when you remove your shirt, you notice that so much of it is just fats. So it's just not working for you. Instead, it's just working against you most of these times. So the yo-yo dieting, where you go through the bulk and cut, is just one of the reasons why you're not gaining as much as you need to. And getting to the next mistake is just not consuming enough calories for you to put yourself in a situation where you are in a hypertrophic place, because you need so much calories for you to have enough to gain muscles. And when I'm talking about calories, I'm not talking about any type of calories, because there's this rumor that goes around that any type of calorie is okay calorie. But I'm talking about healthy calories from one ingredient meals. These are calories that are very healthy, and they are well digestible, and this is the food that when you eat, your body gets all the nutrients that you need, the micros and the macros, the quality nutrients that you need. I'm not talking about the overly processed food. So when you're really doing everything, you're working out right, you're resting right, you're sleeping right, you avoid the alcohol, you also need to eat enough food. You need to eat enough food for you to be in a situation where you're able to gain that muscle. There are people who used to say that you need to eat big for you to get big. It's not necessarily literally true, but there's some truth into that, in that there's an amount of calories you just need. So if you're, for instance, you're somebody who is working out every day, or you're working out as much as you can at the time that you get, then during this time you find that you're just not gaining as much as you want to. You're just losing. You've lost fats. You're as lean as you want to, but the muscles are just not coming. Chances are you're not having enough. You're not consuming enough calories. In this case, you need to increase the amount of calories that you take. And this takes me to the final point, which is proteins. You're not consuming enough proteins. We know that proteins are the building blocks for muscles. So if you're just not eating high quality proteins like beef, like white meat, that is fish, like beans, legumes and all that, if you're just not consuming enough of these, the body is going to lack those amino acids that you need to build, which are going to act as building block in your body and the muscles. So for the muscles also to grow, you need to consume enough proteins. So if you notice, this is just not, all these factors are not happening. I mean, if you just notice that, I mean, you're working hard and your body is just not getting into the position you want it to be, you're not growing that aesthetic body you want, chances are you're making any of these mistakes and just need to fix it. And if you want to find out more about working out, diet, tips and tricks, living longer, having an aesthetic body, and cutting the fats, unnecessary fats, this is a channel for you. I just request you to like this video so that you can get to more people, and subscribe. Let me see you in the next video.